You've probably seen a lot of books about the climate crisis, right? But what if one of them wasn't just another collection of warnings, but was actually a practical handbook for our future? Well, that's the whole idea behind Greta Thunberg's The Climate Book, and today we're going to unpack how it was built and what it really tells us.
You know, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. This whole global story, it has such a small human beginning. It all started with just one student. And when she was only 8 years old, something clicked for her, a realization that would change everything. The grown-ups just weren't doing enough.
And that feeling didn't just go away. By the time she was 15, it turned into action. Real action. She literally made a simple handmade sign, sat down outside the Swedish parliament, and started a protest. A protest that, as we now know, would send ripples all across the globe.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does that, one person with one sign, spark a global conversation and evolve into a huge comprehensive handbook on the climate crisis? Well, that's the story we're unpacking right now. Okay, so first up, let's dive into the personal journey that kicked this whole thing off. I mean, when you actually lay it out on a timeline, the speed of it all is just incredible. It starts with that first spark of awareness when she's just 8. Then that idea crystallizes into real action by 15 with the school strike for climate. And that single act of protest, it didn't just stay in Sweden. Oh no, it became the blueprint for the entire Fridays for Future movement that we see all over the world today.
But okay, a street protest is one thing. How does that turn into an actual physical book? That's the really interesting next step in this story, that leap from the protest line to a published plan.
Think about the climate conversation for a second. It's noisy, right? There's conflicting data, super complex science, and just a ton of information flying around. The core idea behind the Climate Book was to cut through all that noise, to be a clear signal, a single trustworthy place you could go to get the facts straight and see a clear path from, okay, I get it, to, okay, what do we do now?
Now, this is super important to get straight. You need to know what this book is and what it isn't. This is not a novel. There's no hero on a quest, no single story from start to finish. Nope. Think of it more like a factual handbook. It's a collection of essays, hard data, and incredible insights from the people who are the true experts on this stuff.
All right, so let's crack it open, metaphorically speaking, and see how this thing is actually built.
So if it's not a regular story, what exactly do you find inside? What's in it? The answer is pretty cool. You find a whole chorus of voices.
And I'm not kidding, we're talking over 100 of them. This book pulls together the brainpower of more than 100 experts. You've got geophysicists, oceanographers, economists, engineers, indigenous leaders, you name it. They're all in here, each contributing their specialized piece of the puzzle.
And that's what makes Greta Thunberg's role here so unique. She isn't the sole author writing every word. Think of her as the curator, the conductor of the orchestra. She's the one who introduces each part, explains why it all matters, and then masterfully weaves it all together, connecting the dots between all these brilliant minds.
And the book itself is structured as this really logical 5-part journey. First, it lays the groundwork. How does our planet even work? Then it shows you the evidence. Here's how it's changing, the ice melting, the weather getting wild. Part 3 makes it personal. How does this actually affect us, our health, our food, our water? Then it takes a hard look back. What have we tried so far? And finally, it all leads to the big one. What do we absolutely have to do now? It's a really smart flow, kind of like going from a diagnosis to a prescription.
So, you bring all these experts together. What's the big takeaway? What's the core message?
Well, when you boil it all down, 4 key messages really come through loud and clear. Number 1, act with urgency. The time for waiting is over. Number 2, listen to the science. It has to be our guide. 3, this isn't someone else's problem to solve. Everyone has a role to play. And finally, number 4, watch out for something called greenwashing.
And that last one, greenwashing, is a really big deal. So what is it? The book basically defines it as all the marketing spin, the smoke and mirrors that some companies or even governments use to look green and eco-friendly when really their actions don't match up. Or worse, they're still causing harm. It's a huge warning to look past the nice ads and focus on what's actually happening. And all of this, all these parts, they all funnel down into the book's ultimate purpose, to be a real handbook for action.
You know, even with all the really serious data and some pretty stark warnings, the core message of the book isn't despair. It's actually one of determined hope. The argument is that, yes, it is still possible to make a positive difference, but, and this is a big but, that window is closing. We have to act boldly and we have to act fast.
So by pulling together all of this world-class science and putting it into one single accessible place, the climate book is trying to be more than just something you read. It's designed to be a tool, something you use. And that really leaves us with one final massive question to think about. Is this the manual for our future?